Hi, my name is Arshan Prasohi, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Third Wave Automation. So the short story is that we're automating forklifts. The core of the technology is something that we call shared autonomy, and the notion is that the world is unpredictable, and so you have to be able to deal with the things that happen, and ideally, and what we do, is learn from them so that the system itself gets better over time. I've been doing industrial R&D for a long time. I went to school at UC Berkeley, and from there I went straight to Sun Microsystems, which was an awesome company. And then just through my career, I've always worked on various really cutting-edge R&D. So James Mack and myself, the co-founders of Third Wave Automation, had been talking about how to bring robots from the lab into real-world environments. And as we talked about it, forklifts came up in one of the discussions, around beers at a local bar somewhere. So forklifts are this great machine. They're the Swiss Army knife of a lot of big industrial facilities. And, they're 100 years old. It's the heart of the warehouse. If there's a problem somewhere that needs a heavy object moved or anything done really, they bring the forklift over as the first solution. It's just used so commonly throughout warehousing, throughout manufacturing as well. Turning them into robots, automating them, has been great because the hardware platform is already there. It's already been iterated on, it's already been refined. And so us adding the software to make an autonomous machine out of it has been just a fun experience. Automating the forklift is a very natural next step for the process. They have this fairly constrained environment actually, so you can imagine it as a manipulation problem. They've worked for 100 years on getting this logistics, supply chain stuff really sorted out and efficient. And part of that was making this system that is the forklift and the pallet. And so we're automating that and taking the next step, the natural evolution of it. So as we looked into the applications that we could use forklifts for and that we would be automating against, two of the high-level categories that we looked at was manufacturing versus warehousing and supply chain. When you go to a manufacturing site, you see them using forklifts differently just about every 100 meters or so. Let alone go into the manufacturer next door and they're using forklifts entirely differently again. And so we decided not a good first step. So we went to warehousing and supply chain where the same basic feature set is used across thousands and tens of thousands of forklifts. Inside of that category is CPG, which is your big retailers, consumer products and goods, and then TPLs. And so we're talking actually to both sides of that category. What we deploy in our first product is usable by both of them. Really the core of Third Wave Automation is shared autonomy. And the notion behind it is that the robots should do what the robots are really good at and humans should do what humans are really good at. And that the way to revolutionize this, to make it much better for everybody, is for those two systems to work together, one to learn from the other. So, as people, we always are very good at using tools. We always learn what the tool wants and we make it work. What we want to do is build a tool that can do the same thing. So it learns to work with the environment, it learns to work with people, and it actually learns. So things get naturally better over time. The bit of cleverness behind shared autonomy is that it assumes that the world is going to be a little bit unpredictable. And so if you build a robot in the lab and you try and account for everything that's going to happen to it, you're going to be wrong. You're not going to be able to do all of it. And so what we do instead is train our robots to know when they don't know. And what that lets them do is ask for help. We take the forklift operator off the forklift itself and have them managing a fleet of forklifts instead of just the one. And every time the robot encounters a situation that it's unsure of, the robots, the forklifts, work alongside people, so you don't lose the expertise, is the important bit there. When the robot finds something it doesn't know how to do, it asks the expert, which is the operators that you already have on site, and it learns from their examples and gets better and better over time. What's interesting right now in full stack development and building hardware and software systems together is that because of machine learning and the advances that have been made over the last, say, 5 to 10 years, the capabilities of robots really are changing. There's this opportunity to build things that can be much more useful. And actually, that's where the name of the company comes from, is Third Wave. So we had the first wave of machine learning, which was about neural nets, and the computers just weren't good enough to do much, but they still had some interesting experiments. The second wave is what we consider happening now. So there's a lot of interesting things happening, face recognition. You see all the stories about Google and Facebook. And we consider the third wave is us taking that technology that's being developed that's really just awesome and applying it to real world applications. So in these warehouse environments, the high bay rack moves, being able to put really heavy pallets away high up in the air, is a complex problem. Humans are good at it, but historically robots haven't been. And so modern machine learning, modern robotics that we're bringing is what lets our machines do it reliably. And then the underlying technology lets us do it more robustly and flexibly than the stuff that you can buy out there now. And not only that, but as we get deployed, as we're installed into the field, the systems actually get better naturally in situ. And then as we become more mature and we have more product offerings, we can go after manufacturing as well. Before COVID, there was plenty of interest, and we didn't have that hard of a time raising and finding customers that wanted to pilot. But since COVID started, all of those sort of conversations that we were having that were off in the future sometime, that yes, we'd like to look at this technology, we'd love to work with you on this, have turned into, can we buy it now? Logistics and supply chain is a massive market. Even just the segment that we're in, which is indoor warehousing supply chain and doing pallet moves strictly, is already measured in tens of billions of dollars. So we have a huge market. Every team I've ever been on that I'm proud of afterwards, that I remember fondly, it's all because of the people. The tasks often are interesting too, and automating forklifts, of course, is a great robot and it's a lot of fun. But it's really about the people that you work with. I've been, and my co-founders have been, working on various technologies in robotics for decades, actually. It's kind of scary to say, but and so we've worked on a lot of robots that didn't impact a lot of people's lives. And this gives us a real opportunity to put robots out there and make a difference.